Okay, students, so the fifth unit you can find in this textbook, which is Enterprise Cloud Computing by Gautam Shroff. All right, and then in this book, chapter 4, chapter 13, chapter 14, chapter 15, 16, and 17. These are the chapters of Unit 5. Let us begin with the first chapter, which is Chapter 4, Enterprise Architecture and SOA. This Unit 5 basically focus on enterprises, technologies in the enterprises, how various techniques that we have studied so far are implemented in an enterprise. It's not only about cloud, all right. You can learn. You will learn many different methods and processes. The enterprise architecture function within enterprise IT has evolved to manage the complexities of an ever-changing technical environment. Earlier, enterprise architecture means having one server within an enterprise and then multiple clients connecting to that server. This architecture evolved to have from a single server to multiple servers, from multiple servers to servers having on the uh, on another enterprise that to which this particular enterprise has given the outsourcing in a contract. All right. And then finally, now we have cloud environment. So all this, there is an evolution that took place in an enterprise in terms of hardware, software, applications, platform, and so on. Enterprise data and processes. What do you mean by information system? It means that there's a need to keep track of the core information vital to the functioning of an enterprise. And enterprise data perhaps may be stored within an information system. An information system follows a process. Enterprise architecture views business process and the information they access at a higher micro level. Enterprise architecture definition begins with compilation of all business processes such as prospect to order, order to cash. For instance, When you go to college, you can register yourself, you can pay fee, you can check the timetable. So that the functions of that college with respect to the student is all these. Student can register and all. That is an example in the context of a college. In the context of some other business business enterprise, different functions would be prospect to order, order to cash, and so on, several other business processes. Enterprises are often classified as vertical or horizontal. Vertical processes operate within a single organizational function, such as sales or accounting. Please do remember this vertical and horizontal. Vertical means it is specific to a particular department, we can say. All right. Whereas horizontal process cut across functional units. Department is nothing but a functional unit in an enterprise. A software that operates across these three departments is known as horizontal process. If the software operates within individual functional unit or department, it is known as vertical function. What are the enterprise components? The term component means software subsystem that has well-defined interface which can be used independently of its internal implementation. Component, a software system has inventory management or employee management. For an enterprise, enterprise has to manage inventory, has to manage employee, has to keep track of payroll. So what are these? These are components of a larger system, which is enterprise management system. So that individual software subsystems is known as a component. And structuring software into component drives modularity in software development and makes it easier to evolve. Instead of having one large software system, it is very efficient to divide it up into multiple modules. And this division of having multiple modules is known as modularity. Modularity is very essential element for software development as it makes the system development and maintenance uh, quite easy and economical. Here, enterprise level components can be business components defined as high level enterprise processes. They can be vertical or horizontal processes. And then there are application components. Each application component is a set of smaller processes that the information needs of this set is restricted. Okay, for instance, customers data, payment data, those are application components. Business components, they are at a course level. Course level means at a very higher level. This is very high level uh, components, and this will result in application components that can be customer that can keep track of customer data, payments data, and so on. And when the software system uh, is implemented in the form of application components. They themselves are decomposed into software components, and software component is known as entity component. And this entity component deal with the manipulation of the enterprise data and process components, which further deal with business logic and workflow needs of the application component. This is like you have a software system. In software system, you have application components, multiple application components. Further, each application component might have software components, which are known as entity components. So, entity components. And entity components can manipulate the enterprise data and process. Look at this figure. This is enterprise components. We can see in these enterprise components, there are business components, which are operations, coordination, management, intelligence. Then these are enterprise applications, customer service, administration system, accounting system. Here, the technical architecture involves the database, business logic and workflow, user interfaces. This is the you know technical architecture in which you have got a database at the back end and user interface at the front end, and these business components in the middle end. Here, application components has got entity components, and then process and transaction components. Further, these business components, these are all like related. You see that these are operations. This is coordination. This management. Okay, management is an individual component. Intelligence connected to user interface, and then transaction components connected to this accounting system, entity components connected like this. So the many of the system components are connected to one another. Application integration and SOA. SOA is service oriented architecture. Application integration implies that you are trying to integrate or combine multiple components into one big application. As we have seen above, enterprise applications implement processes, which may be sub-process of a larger horizontal or vertical business process. And enterprise application need to communicate with each other. The decomposition of business components into application components are closely tied to the subsets of information. Everything is related, and there are number of mechanisms that applications can use communication with each other at different levels. This is data level integration, which integrates the data and allows direct data transfer using batch programs or online exchange. API level integration allows applications to publish API libraries that are used by other applications to access the data. Service method level integration, this enables applications to publish the services using web service protocols, for instance, in an organized manner so that different applications can use the particular service. User level integration uh, is about application publish mashup APIs that are used to provide common user interface to functionalities from different applications. That is, you know, it is like this is app 1, app 2. So they have to be integrated. They can be integrated at the data level, they can be integrated at the service level, they can be integrated at user interface level, workflow level integration. Here, tasks performed in one application lead to work items being created in others. You perform some task in application 1, which leads to the creation of uh, business items, some work items in the other application. And this is nothing but flow of work. The There are different technologies like web services, Ajax, and workflow. These are various technologies that enables this enterprise integration or application integration. An enterprise application integration EAI strategy is usually an integral part of an enterprise architecture definition. All right. Enterprise application integration. It is a strategy and it is a part of enterprise architecture definition. When you have enterprise architecture, you can integrate even at application level, enterprise level, which is known as enterprise application integration. Web service technologies became very popular, and application integration uh, as application integration technique known as service oriented architecture, SOA. All right. And to illustrate the point that EAI and SOA are quite similar, apart from technological choices. So we look at essentially this SOA paradigm. What does SOA do? It wrap legacy system with web services. You know, you have a legacy system means conventional or traditional system. On this traditional system, you just wrap means cover it with some um, API that makes that legacy system a web service, so that this legacy system can be called from other applications. It develops an enterprise service model with well defined schemes for data exchange. And SOA also develop new application component that publish and use service interfaces. It also develops a common user interface using an enterprise mashup. It replaces legacy system and application components while retaining the same service interface without impacting the user. These are the things that are being done by SOA. Wrapping up legacy system, developing an API, developing new application components, developing a common user interface, and replacing this legacy system um, with a new system while retaining the user interface. Enterprise technical architecture. We learned um, the issue of where enterprise applications and their underlying components are deployed. Okay, we have not learned actually. Now, in this section, we will learn where enterprise applications and their underlying components are deployed. We just learned what are enterprise applications, what are the components, what is the architecture, what is SOA, what are the features of SOA, uniformity or best of breed. It means that cost and simplicity is the motivation for standardizing technical components such as application servers, databases, and integration tools used in an enterprise. What do you mean by uniformity? Uniformity approach is clearly sound when most of the integration between disparate technologies is carried out by the enterprise itself. This disparate technology means different technologies. Having different technologies and integrating them into by using a uniform approach is carried out by enterprise, and that is done by enterprise itself. When packaged components are accessible using web services and web-based interfaces, they follow the SOAP and HTTP protocol, and standardization of interfaces allows relaxation of uniformity regarding product internals and even choices made by application development teams. Standardization means having a uniform interface, having same interface across several applications. And to introduce uniformity, uh, there is a need to combine different technologies and to use some techniques, which is a web service which allows a web-based interface to follow standard protocols. Sometimes what happens is standardization of interface allows relaxation of uniformity regarding product internals. It is not necessary to have similar internals. Means uh, this this is internal of a product, and this part is the external of a product. This is API with which outsiders will access this. These are internals. It is not necessary to have these internals also same. You can have different internals, but the interface should be same so that mm, this user can access in a similar manner. Network and data security. Security issues arise from technology choices, also part of enterprise architecture function. And it is essential to have a secure system. Here, some cloud vendors such as Amazon have started allowing customers to physically ship data to them for uploading on the cloud. Physical security of this logistics become another issue to evaluate carefully because of geographical locations. Amazon has uh, Amazon is providing this facility of physically shipping the data. Means take the printout of the data and send it to Amazon. Amazon will enter it in the system and store. Why? Because if the data is sent over this network, there may be some intrusion and there may be some attack for that purpose. Network security, or rather securing applications on the network, is a very serious concern when considering cloud deployment. And a large number of applications developed for use within an enterprise network or using VPN, virtual private network, are not secure. Sometimes even VPN is not secure. An example, most Java applications use the default authentication mechanism, basic JAS, which is not safe against eavesdropping, or replay attack, as it transmits a password over the network. Okay, this is an example. A Java application using an authentication mechanism means the user has to enter the username and password. This password will be sent in an encrypted form over the network to the server, which is prone to mm, eavesdropping and or replay attack. What is implementation architectures and quick wins? Um, an enterprise architect is the one who designed the enterprise software. Pay attention to implementation architectures required for adopting any new technology. These include the people skills required along with the development, testing, and deployment tools. Architects need to grapple with the choice of platforms based on minimizing the total cost of ownership, including transition cost to any new technology. There is an architect, enterprise architect. He will take care of all these things. That price should not exceed, and then people should be skilled properly. Essentially, on a trial basis, a new technology, including a cloud computing, will be first deployed in peripheral arenas. Peripheral arenas means not the primary task of an enterprise, for its secondary tasks. If it is successfully implemented, then it can be implemented for primary as well. Okay, enterprise architect have to solve another problem, which is mobility. Due to mobile devices, people are moving around, and they have to access the enterprise. If suppose there is a salesman who would like to access uh, this one enterprise application, then architect should also consider mobility in while designing the software. All right, next one, data center infrastructure. Data center is the place where the data is stored. So, what should be the infrastructure for data center? Okay, there are several problems related to this data center. I know that involves data center. I already showed you, like this racks will be kept in the data center. What other things are required for a data center? The efficient implementation. First of all, you need to have a space, a large space. Then you need to have a cooling system, electricity system, security system. Then there should be maybe water facility. different resources are required in order to create a data center. And there are some architectural issues and decisions involved while considering application for cloud deployment. Okay, this were already discussed earlier when there are some architectural issues and decisions for cloud deployment, like which cloud and which type of cloud, whether it should be uh, reserved cloud or ad hoc cloud. Why consider cloud deployment in the first place? In the next chapter, economics of cloud computing will be discussed. In this chapter, challenges being faced by large enterprises managing their own increasing complex data centers. Here, managing what is the complexity of managing a data center will be discussed in this section. Later, how an enterprise can move on to the cloud data center and can reduce the cost will be discussed. So, as I told you, all these things are required. A lot of funds are required in order to create a data center, and it is quite complex. And apparently, this is not going to develop overnight. It takes a lot of time, and this server will sprawl over a large area, and then cost of complexity is high. These are the uh, you know parameters which are which have to be considered while creating own data center. But it is evident from many enterprise practices that it is not efficient to go for own data center. Instead, the data center of the cloud can be used in order to store the data securely, safely, and efficiently. That is all about this first chapter in Unit 5. Other chapter, next chapter, we will look at in the next class. Okay, bye.